Alright, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star Rail guide, and today I'm here with the full build guide for the upcoming new 2.5 4-star character Moze. Moze is finally going to be that very much wanted, sought after Topaz replacement for people who might not have Topaz but end up getting Moze because he's a 4-star, so he's going to be a lot more accessible throughout the future. And so today I'm going to be taking you over his kit, his Eidolons, Lightcone options, Relic options, and stat recommendations on the Relics. I have now made a guide for every 2.5 character that you can check out right now, minus Topaz since I already have a guide that takes you everything you need to know for her build. But if you are interested in summoning on any of the banners, so Feixiao, Robin, Black Swan, Kafka, and then the second half Lingsha, if you are summoning on any of those characters, I do have a build guide for all of them up now, and you are now watching the final one for Moze. And yep, that's all I gotta say before I get to the video. Drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this, and let's get straight into it. So Moze is a lightning character following the path of Hunt. His basic attack deals lightning damage equal to 100% of Moze's attack to a single enemy. His skill marks a designated single enemy target as prey and deals lightning damage equal to 150% of Moze's attack to it, and gains 9 points of charge. When there are no other characters on the field that are capable of combat, Moze cannot use a skill and dispels the enemy's prey state. His ultimate deals lightning damage equal to 270% of Moze's attack to an enemy target, and launches his talent's follow-up attack against this target. If the target is defeated before the follow-up attack is used, then activate the follow-up attack against a random single enemy. His talent: Moze will enter the departed state while a prey exists on the field. After allies attack the prey, Moze will additionally deal 1 instance of additional lightning damage equal to 30% of his attack and consumes 1 charge. For each 3 points of charge consumed, Moze launches 1 follow-up attack to the prey, dealing lightning damage equal to 160% of Moze's attack. When charges reaches 0, dispels the target prey state and resets the charge consumption count. This attack does not consume charge. His technique: after using the technique, Moze gains stealth for 20 seconds. While stealth is active, Moze cannot be detected by enemies. Increases the damage Moze deals by 30% when he enters combat by attacking enemies while in stealth mode, lasting for 2 turns. For his bonus traces, his A2, recover 1 skill point after the talent follow-up is used. This effect can be triggered again after 1 turn. His A4, when Moze dispels his departed state, his action is advanced forward by 20%. At the start of each wave, Moze's action is advanced forward by 30%. And his A6, when this character deals damage with his ultimate, it is considered as having launched a follow-up attack. Increases follow-up attack damage taken by the enemy marked as prey by 25%, so similar to Topaz's skill, but just half of the value. For his Eidolons, his E1, after entering battle, Moze regenerates 20 points of energy. For every time the additional damage from his talent is triggered, Moze regenerates additional 2 points of energy. His E2 increases the crit damage inflicted by allied targets against enemy targets marked as prey by 40%, so similar to the Topaz E1, where she is able to make the enemies inflicted with a Debtor state giving up to a 50% debuff for the enemy to take 50% more crit damage, so this is almost as good as that, which is insane for a 4-star. His E4, after using the ultimate, the damage dealt by Moze increases by 30% for 2 turns, and his E6 increases the damage multiplier of the talent's follow-up attack by 25%. So once again, as you can tell from this kit, he is mainly the sub-DPS slash debuffer to make the enemies take more damage, and he is mainly going to be used on follow-up teams, so his role, once again, is very much solidified as a more budget Topaz, but he's still extremely powerful, and so having that role similar to Topaz is really good for anyone that doesn't want Topaz or maybe can't get her, but has Moze laying around, as he's going to be a lot more accessible dupe wise, so getting the E2 is going to make him extremely good. That is easily his best dupe, and on top of that, making follow-up attacks do more damage to the enemy that is marked as prey. And now for the Lightcone options for Moze. So there are quite a few options and they're going to be pretty similar to Topaz as they have a similar role. So a really good one is by default going to be the Topaz signature Lightcone, which increases the wearer's crit rate by 18% and increases damage dealt by follow-up attacks by 30%. After the wearer uses a follow-up attack, inflicts the target with a tamed state, stacking up to 2 times. When allies hit the enemy targets under the tamed state, each tamed stack increases the crit damage dealt by 12%. So the reason this is really good is, first, getting more crit rate is going to be really nice since Moze attacks a lot, and he also has a lot of hits per action, so you're going to want them to crit as much as possible, so the 18% crit rate is very helpful. And for his main source of damage being the follow-up, this is going to be a very nice increase, getting the 30% increase to follow-up damage. And on top of that, he does assist with his debuff follow-up role by making his follow-up attack have enemies hit become in the tame state, giving you 12% increased crit damage dealt to that enemy up to a 24% increase. So once again, you're getting good stats for him. The crit rate is very important and the follow-up damage increase is very nice for his own damage. And on top of that, you're making him and your allies hit harder thanks to the crit damage dealt. So Topaz is one of, if not the best option. Another really good option that is more on the side for if you want him to do the damage is Dr. Ratio signature Lightcone, which increases the wearer's crit damage by 20%. For every debuff on the enemy target, the wearer's crit damage dealt to this target additionally increases by 8%, stacking up to 3 times. And on a follow-up team especially, that's really easy to get. When using ultimate to attack the enemy target, the wearer receives the Disputation effect, which increases damage dealt by 36% and enables their follow-up attacks to ignore 24% of the target's defense, lasting for 2 turns. So once again, the crit damage increase is really nice, so that's just going to be increased damage. And on top of that, you can get 8% stacking up to 3 times of crit damage dealt if they do have debuffs, which again, on a follow-up team especially, is really easy. So you can get 8 or 16 or 24% increased crit damage dealt. And on top of that, when you do use your ultimate, Moze will gain an additional 36% damage dealt and also has his follow-up attack, which again is his main source of damage, to ignore 24% of the target's defense, which if you don't know, defense ignore in this game is extremely powerful. So this is going to be the best one for his own personal damage. Another good free-to-play option you can use is the Cruising in the Stellar Sea, free from the Herder shop, as it increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%. Since it's free, I'm just going to show the values here: 8%, 8%, 20%, and at S5 it's 16, 16, 40. And also additionally increases the crit rate against enemies with HP less than or equal to 50% by an extra 16%. So if an enemy is lower or equal to 50% HP, you get 32% crit rate, which is insane. And when the wearer defeats an enemy, their attack is increased by 40% for 2 turns. So once again, crit rate is going to be really important on Moze, so this alone is really good, 16% for free. And if they do have lower than 50% HP, you get an additional 16%, making it 32%, which once again is really, really high. And if you can get Moze to defeat an enemy, that's going to be really good, because now his attack is going to be increased by 40% for 2 turns. So this is a very good free-to-play alternative. Another good option is going to be Swordplay, which for each time the wearer hits the same target, damage dealt increases by 16%, stacking up to 5 times, and will be dispelled when you change targets. This is really easy to stack up as Moze's follow-up attack hits a bunch of times, so the more you hit that same enemy, stacking up to 5 times, you do that much more damage, and fully stacked, it is a very, very big increase, so this is a really good Lightcone as well. Another option you can use is Only Silence Remains, which increases the wearer's attack by 32%. If there are 2 or fewer enemies on the field, increases the wearer's crit rate by 24%. So obviously if there's 2 or fewer enemies, you get the 24% crit rate, which is really good. That makes this Lightcone really, really powerful. And if there aren't, then it becomes a lot weaker, but you still do have the 32% attack at least. It's not the best option, but if you really have no other choices, you can use this. And if there are 2 or less enemies, then this Lightcone actually becomes a really good option. So this is something you can do situationally. And another good free-to-play alternative is the Final Victor Lightcone, which increases the wearer's attack by 20%. When the wearer lands a critical hit on an enemy, gains 1 stack of Good Fortune, can be stacked up to 4 times, and every stack of Good Fortune increases the wearer's crit damage by 12%, and will be removed at the end of the wearer's turn. So as you are able to crit a lot thanks to Moze's attacks hitting multiple times, you can stack this up for a pretty nice damage increase, and then at the end of the turn it will remove it. But if you don't have the other options, this is a fine free-to-play alternative you can use. Now talking about the best relic options for Moze, his best in slot relic set is going to be the debuff set, which the 2-piece increases damage dealt to enemies with debuffs by 12%, and the 4-piece increases crit rate by 4%. The wearer deals 8%/12% increased crit damage to enemies with at least 2/3 debuffs, which once again on a follow-up team is really easy to do. After the wearer inflicts a debuff on enemy targets, the aforementioned effects increase by 100%, lasting for 1 turn. And as he is able to inflict a debuff from his base kit, he is able to make full use of this relic set. So having a team that can inflict debuffs, which once again, mainly on follow-up team, which is very easy to have, this is going to increase his damage by the most and have him do the most damage, because he is a sub-DPS, but as a sub-DPS you still want him to do as much damage as possible, so this is going to be his best damaging set. Another set you can use is 4-piece of the Duke set, the 2-piece increasing damage dealt by follow-up attacks by 20%, and the 4-piece, when the wearer uses a follow-up attack, increases the wearer's attack by 6% for every time the follow-up attack deals damage. This effect can stack up to 8 times and last for 3 turns, and the effect is removed the next time the wearer uses a follow-up attack. As once again, his follow-up attack hits a lot of times, you are able to make use of the 4-piece, so it's not just like a one-hit thing like someone with ratio would be. He's able to make use of this similar to Topaz, so it is another good option you can use. And if you maybe not have a 4-piece of either, what you could do is combine 2-piece of those, so the 2-piece debuff set, 2-piece follow-up set, since you're going to be getting the debuff damage increase, and then the 2-piece of the Duke set would give you 20% follow-up damage increase. That is also an option. And then another option is taking the 2-piece of one of the 2 sets mentioned and combining that with 2-piece of the lightning set for the 10% 8% increase to lightning damage. As he does do lightning damage, that's going to be an increase in damage as well. So if you do have that while you are farming for 4 pieces of the debuff set, or maybe if you're waiting on the follow-up set, you can use 2 pieces of one of those. For the planar ornaments, his best one is going to be the Durin set, which when an ally uses a follow-up attack, the wearer gains 1 stack of merit, stacking up to 5 times. Each stack of merit increases damage dealt by follow-up attacks by 5%, and once you do have 5 stacks, the wearer gains a 25% increase to crit damage. So the follow-up attack increase is going to be really nice when you have it fully stacked at 25%, and then on top of that you get an additional 25% increase to crit damage, so anytime you are going to crit, that damage is going to be increased. This is especially easy to stack up on a follow-up attack team, so once it is fully stacked up, it is his best option. But if you might not want to wait for the ramp up option, you can use Inertial Slaughter, which increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%. When the wearer's crit rate reaches 50% or higher, the damage dealt by the wearer's ultimate and follow-up attack increases by 15%. And since once again his main source of damage comes from the follow-up attack, but his ultimate can also do good damage as well, you're getting increased to both of those damages. And on top of that, you get the extra 8% crit rate, which can be helpful. So if you do not want to wait for the ramp up on the Durin set, this is another really good option. And now for the main sets on the relics. For the body, you want to have crit rate or crit damage corresponding to which one you need more, but do know you want to have very high crit rate on Moze so his attacks crit really often. So for the most part, you probably will be running crit rate, unless you have godly crit rate rules, then you can do crit damage, but for the most part, you want to get your crit rate up as much as possible. For the feat, you want attack percent, as Moze doesn't really have a need for speed thanks to the action advances. For the orb, you want lightning damage, and for the link rope, you want attack percent. For the substats, you just want your generic DPS stuff, so crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, break effect can also help. But yeah, anything you want, any other DPS is going to be helpful. Again, crit rate, crit damage, getting a lot of crit rate is going to be really helpful. Past that, attack percent, break effect is going to be really nice as well. And yep, that is the full build guide for Moze. Let me know how you guys are going to be building him. Hope you found the video helpful. Peace out.